Death of Henry Novak, riots in Belfast, the end of the Equality Act. What is going on? Assalamu alaikum and welcome. This is the only way up. There seems to be a huge change happening in the way people are being treated and will be treated going forward. What is going on?
Yes, welcome, Shani. Hope you're well. So, yeah, things are drastically changing. Many people making comparisons with the 1930s, the rise of fascism, all of these things, they start from somewhere. So, we're in a scenario where the UK economy has got significant issues. People feel it isn't working for them. This is why populism is doing very well across the world. And you have the far right who are just blaming all the problems on immigration. The reason why the UK has economic issue is because there's too many people coming to the country. There are illegals coming on boats, and they commit loads of crimes. They claim social security, which is stretching the UK, and they are the reason why public services and like things like the NHS are completely overstretched. Now, I mean, I'm not going to go into the argument. These arguments don't really stack up when you look at them. However, there are many people in the UK who feel things aren't working and they are effectively believing that immigration is the issue. And what happens when you believe this is then you start to follow what the political class say about dealing with immigration. So already the term re-immigration is becoming popular. This is where you literally kick people out of the country. um, Pakistanis have now been completely maligned. If you're a male Pakistani, you effectively are potentially a groomer, so you need to be dealt with. The issue you've got here, and like we had in the 1930s, is you've got economic issues, jobs, prospects, development, infrastructure, and these are not being invested in. For 14 years, we had austerity, and what you've got is a creaking country. Rather than solve these issues, rather than put the money in and make the investment, what you're seeing politicians do is they're resorting to scapegoating, they're resorting to misdirection, they are resorting to blaming an element of the population so the wider population turns against them and it doesn't look at the failure of the politicians. We're seeing this with Trump in America. We saw this in Hungary, and the leader got removed from power after 15 odd years in power. And we're seeing it come into the UK. And the result of this is it doesn't just play out in the political realm. What happens is a young guy who can't get a job, when he sees a person who's different to them, when he hears a language that he doesn't understand, when he sees beliefs that are very different to his, he feels threatened, she feels threatened. And what will they do? They will become tribal. They will do something. And that's why we're seeing protests, we're seeing violent protests. That's why a politician can say after the killing in Southampton or the death in Southampton that we need to go out in rage and he can get away with it. In any other time, this will be considered incitement. So I think my main message today really is if we actually start looking at the problems of this country, the economic issues, they're not new. They've been there for a while. They've just grown and expanded in scope. And actually, what you find is immigration isn't the cause of any of these. There's actually wider issues. We've now left the European Union. We've left the largest market the UK buys and sells from. So now new barriers have been erected. So this is going to have an impact on the economy. Why would it not have an impact on the economy? Now you've got to pay more taxes and tariffs. There are more trade barriers. This is having an impact. Every time I meet someone who used to trade with Europe, they're saying it's just not worth it now. It's too costly. So they are setting up business in Europe to deal with European customers. So once again, what we're seeing is rather than politicians actually dealing with the challenges of the country, what they're doing is they're scapegoating. What they're doing is misdirecting. And we are going to see the bloody outcome of that. We're seeing it with violence, and I think it's just a matter of time before we see this get worse.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, economics is a big driver in this. And I think the unraveling of the liberal world order, universal human rights, declaration of human rights, equality, what it meant to be a global citizen, all these things are being put to the side by America. And it's mixed in with this in terms of what is your identity now? What are you? Who are you? And now the discussion is happening about what is British, what is English, Is it genetics? Is it hereditary? Is it ancestry? Is it DNA? Is it how you conduct yourself? Is it culture? What is it? And that is allowed. Um, it's become a policy to take advantage of and say, actually, we can't fix people's problems. Let's take this discussion to use it to malign a whole group of people, to push them back and push them into poverty, push them into difficulty, push them into desperate situations because they're not British. That has become the starting point of the discussion. That are you British? Not are you human? Are you insan? Are you suffering? Are you a person that needs to live? Are you need a person to survive? No, the discussion is no, 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 no. We haven't got enough money. The classic Adam Smith fallacy of scarcity and resources is coming back. And but who do we allocate it to? The elite, going back to their tried and tested tools of divide and rule, carving it out. The elite, the middle class, and then the poor people, and let the poor people fight it out. Now the sacrifice is for the migrants. It's for someone of a particular skin color. It's for someone who's newly arrived and who hasn't got a heritage here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing also the rise of what's called nativism. And this is where you now start to unify and organize by people who are native to you. So, you're the same color, you're the same language, and then you start othering everybody else. Because you are not the same color, you don't speak the same language, you're not the same race. What happens is you begin to oppress and separate from others. This is what led to the rise of the Nazi Party in the 1930s. These are the things that eventually lead to ethnic cleansing, or it leads to genocides and things like that. And it's interesting that in the fifth richest country in the world, in the UK, things are so bad that people are going to these old age ideas and concepts that have proven to be so destructive in the past. And that just confirms that the political class, they've completely lost, they completely failed. They have no idea how to navigate through this. So they just resort to dog whistle politics or blaming and othering everybody else. And for them, it's just a political choice. But there is real world repercussions when a woman gets a hijab pulled off, when a elder is going to the mosque to pray Fajr and he gets stabbed. That's what it actually results to, and that's why you're seeing all this talk about taking back our country. We have our practices, people are different. You even got this thing now that if you don't agree with our country's values, you're going to get kicked out. You're going to leave. This is the stuff that the Western world used to say about third world. For them, we're open. And remember, most immigrants are here because they've been welcomed here. They need it. When people from the Caribbean, India, and Pakistan came in the 60s, they were invited. They were asked to come. In fact, they were needed to come in. So the nativism is really a sign of things to come. Um, and I think, in the context of power transferring from west to east, in the context of Western political class being unable to give answers to the people's problems, it's really telling that we're probably at quite an important juncture where things are changing, global powers changing, and we're seeing that Western civilization now is run out of ideas. It's run its course. So now it's really time for alternatives. And going back to nationalism or extreme nationalism doesn't really put dinner on the table.
Yeah, and I think the saving grace in all this is the Muslim community here, that they can, number one, talk to as many non-Muslims, gather as many non-Muslims, have open days, have invite people to the house, talk over lunch, talk in the canteen, talk on breaks at work, talk in colleges, universities. Two things: one, we're all going through the same problems. uh, White, non-white, recently arrived, been here for a long time, married, unmarried, whatever the situation is, everyone's going through financial, economic difficulties, looking at bills, worrying about how they're going to be paid. And the issue isn't that there is a pile of money and actually it's all the migrants that are getting it or certain type of people are getting it. The issue is the elite have taken all the money. And Elon Musk's trillionaire status over the weekend proves this. GDP has grown over the last, 5-10 years by 15%. But have people's wages and pocket and expenses and all these type of things, how are they feeling about it? So there is a good opportunity to show actually we're all in the same boat, um, and it's the elite that are taking the money. And number two, there's an opportunity to explain to people what is Islam, what is Islam, what are we about, what do we believe, how do we look at elderly care, how do we look at married life, how do we look at non-Muslims, how do we look at Muslims, how are we surviving, getting through these difficult times. And I think there'll be a lot of attraction to the discussions and a lot of appeal. People will be wowed and attracted by a lot of this discussion. And I think they are wanting this. Why? They don't trust the politicians. They don't trust the establishment. They don't trust the Labours, the Conservatives, even the reforms. They don't trust, but they're saying, "Well, he's saying something different." So I think there's a big opportunity to discuss with as many non-Muslims and explain a lot of things. So Jazakallah khair for listening. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and leave your comments below. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.